All right. All right. Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another stream. As you can see by the title and everything, um, this is going to be a FNAF oriented stream because if you did not know, since I am going to know stuff like this because I have been part of the FNAF fan base for a while now. Um, we have marked officially 10 years of Five Nights at Freddy's being in existence, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. I've been here since the very beginning. So the fact that we've already had 10 years of FNAF content throughout the years is crazy. We've got like what 10 or 11 games. We've got a movie and a second movie coming out. Next year in December of 2025. Unfortunately, we have to wait a lot longer than I originally predicted. Fan-made games, controversies, even the creator getting kicked out by his own creation from the community and everything. So, a lot of stuff happened in 10 years. So, reacting to this theory, as you can see right now. But, like I previously mentioned just a couple minutes ago, the FNAF 2 movie. And no, we are not pirating this stream to watch, FNAF 2, right? Because obviously they are not, I don't think they're filming yet. Or at least they're in the very, very, very early stages of getting the actors together to film it. But there's a couple things I can show you for this. For instance, the first thing I can show you is some, I guess, originally I was going to do teaser images, but I guess we're doing the movie script first. So, yeah, part of the movie script released as part of the 10-year anniversary. So, oh, can we pull that up? There we go. All right. So, I don't know if you can see this. I hope you can. Okay, that was weird. That just randomly pulled up a random stream from a random person. All right, that was weird. So, yeah, I hope y'all can see that. Because on my monitor, on my screen, it's not coming up that well because it's a, text on a white page and then like black typewriter text, so it's not coming up clearly. So I hope y'all can see it clearly. It looks like y'all can, but this is a page from the official FNAF 2 movie. It's not like a fan-made one. Like, no, it's actually coming from Blumhouse Productions themselves as part of the 10-year anniversary. So, without further ado, let me read in my best actor voice. All right, so this is apparently one of the pages from the screenplay. It's official. She looks up at Toy Chica, confused. It got a little cut off there. She looks up Toy Chica confused, and Toy Chica is slowly puts her hand on Abby's head. Original Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, storage room, same time. Vanessa watches the monitor through pained breath. I'm sorry, some of the words get cut off. On the screen, Toy Chica's hand strokes Abby's head, and Toy Chica's head turns slowly to look back at the camera, at Vanessa. Vanessa is squeezed tighter. She cries out in pain. Vanessa says this, okay, please just don't hurt her. The grip loosens, and Vanessa watches Toy Chica look back at the computer. Vanessa, 4AD question mark ETS. Toy Chica relays Vanessa's once culminating in C, looks like a B1. Abby enters and looks back up. What now? Hit enter. Abby's finger dangles above the enter key. She looks up the animatronic for approval. Toy Chica nods and Abby presses click. Toy Chica's eyes light up. You did it, Abby. We are free. So, that is a page from the official script, the official screenplay of the FNAF 2 movie that we are getting on December 5th of 2025. right? Now, what does this mean? Who's to say? Who knows? Like, I have my theories, I have my ideas, and I'm going to say that. I feel like this is the best opportunity to share my thoughts and my ideas and my theories of what this means. Um, because this seems a little early for it, but this seems like a creation of the Happiest Day minigame from FNAF 3, where if you don't remember what FNAF 3 is all about, it was the first time where a FNAF game had different endings. FNAF 1, FNAF 2 had just one ending. FNAF 3 was the first game where it had multiple endings, a good and a bad ending. If you played the game through normally, right, which is what 99.9% of the people did through their playthroughs of FNAF 3, they got the bad ending. And you got the bad ending because you knew it was the bad ending because it was a screen that said bad ending, and it was the 5 animatronic heads, and they all had like their eyes, at least one eye lit up, showing that their souls are still active. They're still hunting for vengeance. They're still going after any security guard that takes the night shift at any Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria establishment. Like, they are still active. They still have not been put to rest yet. And how you get the good ending is you do these, mini games, very abstract and everything, might I add, very obscure, but you do these mini games, and each mini game releases a different animatronic soul, and then once you get to night 5, after doing those mini games, you get the same screen, but instead the eyes are not light up. There's one less animatronic you see. It's the Golden Freddy one. You don't see it in the good ending. And instead of saying the bad ending, it just says the end. Right? And then, happy music plays and everything. And during all that, there's the Happiest Day minigame, where before you get the good ending and everything, you control the puppet. You control the Nightmariette. You know who I'm talking about. You control the puppet who goes down the hallway of a Freddy Fazbear establishment. We've established it's the same layout as the pizzeria in the FNAF 4 location, the minigame in between nights and FNAF 4. It's the same location. The tables, everything, the lights, the stage, it's all set up the same because Scott doesn't do coincidences. It's the same as FNAF 4. So once you get to the end, you put a cake down at the end of the table, and all the ghost souls of the animatronics, they're all wearing masks of like Freddy, Fozzie, Bonnie, Chica. Once you put the cake down as the puppet, their souls get laid to rest, and they, float up in the air and everything. They get laid to rest. Happy music plays and everything. That's what happens in the good ending. So I say all that because they're in the computer, they're hitting enter, and something good happens with Toy Chica. Their eyes change to a different color and everything. Their eyes change. And you said, like, our souls are free, right? We are saved. We are free, right? Like, that screams, Happiest Day minigame, saving the souls, saving the dead kids, resting their souls. But that's weird because this is FNAF 2. This is the FNAF 2 movie. You don't get the Happiest Day minigame and all that stuff until FNAF 3. And we know there's a FNAF 3 movie, right? So it's one of those things where, is this like a movie creation of the Happiest Day minigame where the souls get laid to rest? And if so, then what's FNAF 3 gonna be about, right? So I'm either wrong, and this is not the Happiest Day minigame at all. It's something completely different, right? At least that's what it sounds like. It's something like that, where you're putting the kids to rest in some regard. It may or may not be Happiest Day minigame, but that's just my thought. That's just my theory. But it could also be one of those things in the FNAF 1 movie where you bring in Vanessa from Security Breach, or you bring in Springtrap William Afton in the FNAF 1 location. You have the, it's not Baby, the Ella doll, mask and everything during FNAF 1. Like, things that are not exclusive to the FNAF 1 game at all. Stuff all the way, late in like Security Breach, Help Wanted with Vanessa and everything. But they still were in the FNAF 1 movie. So maybe it's like course correcting. It's like taking stuff from all the games and combine them in the movie and everything, which that could be what we're seeing here. Right? That's just a thought, but it's an interesting thought. So that's the first thing that I want to show is a page from the screenplay from the official movie. So looking forward to it. I was already looking forward to the movie to begin with, but I'm more looking forward to this movie now because I want to see how this scene plays out in the movie, in the context, if I'm right, if this is like a interpretation of the Happiest Day minigame from FNAF 3, right? Which would be weird because it seems a little early for that if we're doing FNAF 2, but, if this is not, them entering stuff in the computer, the souls of the kids for the animatronics get laid to rest and they're free. If that doesn't scream Happiest Day minigame in some way, that's just cruel, in my opinion. So that's the first thing I want to dive into when it comes to the movie. The other thing I want to dive into is the teaser images, behind the scenes images we got for the movie. It's not the first time images have been released to the public about, the inner workings of the movie and everything. We did a stream, I want to say a month or two ago, where it was showing like an animatronic form of like a very, 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 very small metal wired animatronic that was, we interpret that as like a makeshift like mini version of the Mangle animatronic from FNAF 2. And it was like the mini one because, before they put in all the effort all the time of making like this huge giant Mangle animatronic, because Mangle's a big animatronic. They're all big, but Mango's especially big and everything. Before they put in all the effort of making the big animatronic life-size version of Mangle, let's do a small, dummy-down version of Mangle so it gets accurate, it gets right first. And then once we get that right, then we scale it up to the big form that you see in the movie, right? So we showed that image off. So now we got, in total, 3 images that has been released throughout the week of the 10-year anniversary. So the first one is this. We got some eyes. Now we don't have some eyes, but we got some green ones. Now, this is interesting already. I know, we're just looking at a pair of eyes. But in this franchise, in this fan base, no detail is too small, right? And maybe it's just like shows off my knowledge and everything, but we all know in FNAF 2, what animatronic has green eyes? Toy Bonnie. Toy Bonnie has green eyes. And you're looking at these big old green eyes. These seem pretty massive, which means if these are the eyes for Toy Bonnie, imagine how big the Toy Bonnie animatronic is in the movie. If these are just his eyes. What also makes me think this is Toy Bonnie, I'm hoping you can see my cursor. Please. Right. Can you all see my cursor? Because I'm pointing something out. Ah, come on, please. Show my cursor. No. Damn it. All right. Well, anyways, so pointing out, I guess, anyways, besides the Toy Bonnie eyes, you also can tell that this is Bonnie because to the right of it, you can see that little gray, like, two-piece of something, right? I don't care about bots. Anyway, what I was saying is you can see that's the eyes and everything. There's a big round two-piece of something. We know it's Toy Bonnie because Toy Bonnie has the bunny ears, obviously it's a bunny animatronic, but you know that they are separated. You know what? Can we pull up Toy Bonnie right now so I can describe, like, I feel like I'm not describing it the best. Hold on. Let me pull up Toy Bonnie, right? Because his ears are separated at the top. Save image. Okay. Give me Toy Bonnie. Toy Bonnie. There you go. Hello. Toy Bonnie's gonna be right in front of me. Nice. Okay. But as you can see... Okay. But as you can see, Toy Bonnie has green eyes. This is a very cluttered stream right now. I love it. Well, I mean, isn't that poetic? FNAF is very cluttered, and it's just a huge clusterfuck. So, if it's going to be any stream that's just going to be cluttered and full of everything, I would love for it to be a FNAF stream. But you can see, green eyes have been scaled up a lot. Toy Bonnie may have had a few eye surgeries in between FNAF 2, which came out in 2015, I want to say, because it's been 10 years. I want to say 2015. Regardless, 2014, 2015. He definitely had some eye surgeries. The eyes are way bigger. But like I was saying earlier, you see the ears of how it's two parts. You have the rectangle part, and then it's a very small, like half circle oval shape at the very top, but they're separated with a line. That is Toy Bonnie's ears. So, seeing all this, seeing the eyes, you see the earpieces of Toy Bonnie, and seeing now what he looks like in the game to now what his movie counterpart's gonna look like, his animatronic is gonna be massive. And if so, that is very intriguing. I'm very excited for that. I can't wait for that. My thing is, though, if you're going to make the animatronics even bigger, then I assume, how are they going... Well, first of all, how are they going to compare to the size of the FNAF 1 animatronics, number one? And two, I guess more importantly, my biggest critique, my biggest negative, as much as I liked the FNAF 1 movie, which I did a lot, it was a lot of fun, is that me just saying it just because, you know, this is something I've been waiting on for over a decade. So I had rose-tinted glasses watching the movie? Probably, I'll admit that. But I at least enjoyed it. But I'm not afraid to admit that it has problems, it has cons. It's not perfect by any stretch. My biggest issue with it is that these were not killer animatronics. All the jump scares were, you know, done in quick cuts or off-screen stuff. They are killer animatronics, right? Let them be killer. Let them be sinister. Let them rip people apart and everything, right? I want to see violence. If I could have a FNAF movie rated R, I'll take it, right? But if it's going to be PG-13, fine, let it be PG-13. But I want to see gore. I want to see violence. I want to see something that screams, these are killer animatronics. Anyway. So, the next teaser image we got is our boy Foxy. Our man Foxy. Obviously, I don't feel like I need to say much more. This is the head of withered old Foxy. Since there is no toy Foxy of the lineup, there's like Toy Freddy, Toy Bonnie, Toy Chica, and I guess Mangle is the Toy Foxy version, but there is no Toy Foxy. Plus, with like the half side of the left side of his face being torn apart and everything, like this screams the withered version of Foxy. But that's all that needs to be said. We got the head of withered Foxy, and it's very, very, very early stage development. Cool. I like it. Then we got this image. We got, it looks like another piece of the Withered Thoughts that we just saw. The middle one looks like maybe a piece of Toy Bonnie, because the ears. Or maybe that's Toy Freddy. Because, yeah, that's gotta be Toy Freddy in the middle. Because Toy Freddy's like ears are very small, they're very round, like bear ears, as opposed to Bonnie, which, as you saw before, had the long bunny ears and it was like the two pieces and everything. That's gotta be Toy Bonnie, Toy Freddy, in the middle, which would mean the one on the right has to be Chica because the beak, right? And as you can see, not only do you see these three masks, which is important, but there's also some gray stuff. I would assume that's, withered pieces that didn't make the cut or something like that, or maybe molds of the mask that we're seeing here. But you're also in the background, we got a picture of Withered Fotsy from FNAF 2 from the game. I assume they're using that as a reference photo. And we also got, that's this lower half of Freddy. I can tell, I've seen that lower half so many times, no pause, to know that's Freddy. That, like, blue is the legs of, I would assume, Toy Bonnie, because, if I remember correctly, the lower half of Withered Bonnie, it's not that skinny. It's not, this legs are not built like sticks, because it's like a giant form of Withered Bonnie, and his, mask is completely, ripped off and everything. So that's definitely legs of Toy Bonnie. Then that one, the third one, it looks like that's Withered Freddy, like the head of it. Maybe in like some poster form they put in the pizzeria as like a prop decoration between shots, right? And then this last one, I can't really tell what that is. It's blue with a white bar of something. All right, but yeah, this looks like Withered Fotsy, Freddy, and Chica, the toy versions with the exclusion of Withered Fotsy, of course. These all look like the molds of the animatronics, which is really, really cool. And I think we got one final one before we react to the theory. Oh, no, we don't. Okay, now we're good. The last one that I had hidden was the movie script, but we did that first, so great. All right. So, with all that out of the way, all the FNAF 2 movie news that we have so far, once again, the movie comes out December 5th of 2025. We showed off the teaser images, we showed off a image of the screenplay for the script, and we gave our theories that that's probably interpretation of Happiest Day minigame, but that seems like a shot in the dark, right? Because that seems way too early for FNAF 2, but you know what? They're just ideas at the end of the day. So who knows what it is? But either way, I'm excited for it. Am I disappointed that we don't get a FNAF 2 movie this October? Have back-to-back movies around the Halloween season? Like, yes. In a perfect world, we would have, back-to-back FNAF movies in all three stages, right? The first movie, second movie, and third movie would all be released, each year, consecutive years, and they'd all be released around Halloween, because Halloween is big spooky time, and what's more spooky than deadly animatronics, right? Like, best case scenario, yes, 100%, I would love that. But we said this in past streams. I was very, very, very skeptical about this movie coming out this year at all. Because the fact that for the first movie, we knew like around November, December, filming was going to start in January. We officially got, Josh Hutcherson was going to play Michael Afton. Matthew Lillard was going to be playing William Afton. The film is going to start from like January to March. We saw that they were going to build everything like, from set and everything. They were going to like, it wasn't CGI, but, Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria. Like, they were actually going to make the building from scratch and make it real. We knew film was going to be in New Orleans. I want to say the studio that they made up for filming was like Bad Cupcake or something like that. Cupcake something. I can't remember exactly what it was. You'll have to remind me what it was. It was Cupcake something. Was the studio they were going under for filming. So we knew all that in like November, December. January to March was filming. And then the October release date around Halloween. Right? Then this time around, right, we get to like the February, March season. And we've heard absolutely nothing. The most we got is, the director saying, yeah, I would love to come back to direct, the sequel to FNAF 1. It was a success and everything. I would love to come back and everything. And we knew that William Afton and Matthew Lillard signed on for a 3-year movie deal with FNAF, with Blumhouse. And that's all we knew. Right? But the first movie, released in October, we knew they were done filming in March. So this time around, in this March, we have no idea if they're even filming. We have no idea the script, a cast, or anything. So that right there, I was already skeptical. Like, we're probably not getting this movie this year. But like maybe early 2025, maybe summer 2025. Like, I feel like that could happen. But then I thought about even more. And I was like, FNAF 2 has more than double the animatronics. The pizzeria is way bigger than the first one. And assuming they're doing the same thing, the same treatment they did for the first movie, where they're building everything from scratch, from the ground up. They're not using a ton of CGI and everything, because Blumhouse makes movies on very small budgets. They're a very budget-friendly movie studio. And they make great films for it, which is amazing. It made it seem like, yeah, maybe early 2025 is stretching it, maybe like late 2025. And that's what we got. And you know what? It's fine. I accept it. Would I have loved it to be back-to-back years? Of course. But the reality is, at the end of the day, we're getting a FNAF 2 movie. And you know what? That's all that matters to me. And if they need to spend those extra few months at the very end to make the movie better, to tighten up the effects better, tighten the script better, maybe add some violence to the movie, and the movie's better for it, then you know what? I'm willing to wait the time. Right? I'm willing to wait. And y'all should too. Anyways, let us hop into listen to this theory about how Help Wanted 2 affects the timeline for FNAF, as I feel like every newest FNAF game affects the overall timeline. It feels like these aren't even yearly videos. These are whenever a game releases. How does this new game, blank game, affect the timeline? I'm sure within a month we'll be reacting to how does Into the Pit affect the FNAF timeline. So let us hop in and see how Help Wanted 2 affects the FNAF timeline. Here we go. Also want to make sure it's not too loud and I'm not blasting my ears. Or y'all's ears.
First, we should go over the actual story of Help Wanted 2.
Right.
Because for as straightforward as some of the lore and speculation can be about this game, a good bit of the overarching plot of Help Wanted 2 is pretty esoteric. It begins with an orientation for working at the Pizzaplex, in a empty room with knocked over chairs, and we immediately cut to the FNAF 6 pizzeria under security breach. This does present a problem. If we're just an employee at the Pizzaplex, we shouldn't know about this pizzeria. As per the duffel bag messages of security breach, most of the employees don't even know that there's anything down there.
I guess a recap of something. Recap if y'all don't remember what FNAF 2 was about, or FNAF VR 2, excuse me. What it was about. So we go in to this pizzeria. It's all lit up and everything. It's all happy time and everything. It looks like a great active pizzeria. Come to find out, the whole time we were wearing the Vanny mask from VR Help Wanted 1. And similar to the Ruin DLC, we had to turn off an inhibitor machine that was in the room where this yellow box is over here in the light. We had to go the inhibitor machine. We had to turn it off, which allowed us to take the mask off and for us to no longer see the illusion, which made it seem like it was a very active, happy pizzeria and everything. And instead, it was a burned down, corrupted version, remnant of a pizzeria, which connected the location of Help Wanted 2 to the burned down pizzeria of FNAF 6, of Security Breach, of Ruin DLC. It all connects all of them because they are all built in the same place. Because as you know, the Pizzaplex from Security Breach was built on top of the FNAF 6 location, where it was the whole thing about FNAF 6 was it was a trap by Henry Afton, or Henry burning William Afton and the other Aftons to rid their sins and to put the kids' souls to rest and everything, and actually have the ending to the series. Okay, Dakota, thank you. God damn it. What was I saying? Oh yeah. So the whole point of FNAF 6 was Henry burning down the pizzeria. It was a trap set in by Henry to burn down the animatronics, rest his souls, because the animatronics were, and the remnant in the animatronics was susceptible to heat. So Henry, being the genius inventor inventor that he was, he said that, I need to, heat up the animatronics to a very, very high temperature through fire to allow the remnant to melt and will allow the souls to rest and everything. So that was the whole point of FNAF 6. And Henry died in the FNAF 6 fire, and William Afton didn't die. He came back as Burntrap in Security Breach, which, who knows even if that's the real ending still. We have no idea. We thought it was at the end of Security Breach, but then Ruin seemed to say otherwise. So who knows at this point? Shocker, FNAF gets complicated.
Instead, they're asking, why do we keep having sinkholes and brownouts of power? So if this truly is our first day at the workplace, then maybe Vanny has hired us directly or something. Or Help Wanted 2 shows us our orientation, and then the game starts about halfway through the actual story of this game. Regardless, keep that in mind. In the center of the room, we have a monitor in which we select the minigames that make up the bulk of Help Wanted 2. And immediately, we have another gray area. We know what the contents of these minigames are. Like, it's pretty easy to look at these minigames and be like, okay, this action took place. The problem is, in the context of Help Wanted 2, what are these minigames? The majority of them are just odd jobs around the Pizzaplex, and if that was all it was, then we wouldn't really have an issue here. After all, we're supposedly an employee, so us doing odd jobs around the Pizzaplex makes sense. But there's two major issues with that. Firstly, they take place at different times. Take food prep by itself, for example. L Chips takes place in a fully functioning Security Breach Pizzaplex with an atrium that's visibly working in the background. The second food prep minigame then takes place in a more rundown kitchen with a damaged Chica. And finally, the third food prep minigame takes place in a ruined daycare theater with a shattered Chica. These happen in different time frames, one before Security Breach, one possibly during, and one definitely after. Now, this
maybe? I mean, like, I see where you're coming from, and yeah, you're right. Like, they all take place in, different times in the timeline and everything. They're not all connected and happen at the same time. Like, agreed 100%. But, my counter to this is, FNAF 1 does, or FNAF 1 VR, FNAF VR 1, Help 101, does the same thing, right? You have the recreations of FNAF 1, FNAF 2, FNAF 3, where you play 5 nights of each of the nights of those games. And you're doing parts and service, which is something totally brand new for VR. And you're doing the dark rooms, which is you're bringing in the Fun with Plush Trap minigame and the Fun with Balloon Boy minigame, which is from FNAF 4, especially the Halloween DLC in FNAF 4 and everything. And then you have other stuff where it's like you have the FNAF 4 location inside the bedroom, but you're hiding inside a closet from, Circus Baby, who's from Stitch location. So you're taking all these animatronics, all these locations, and you're combining them to new scenarios. So I don't have a problem with that in FNAF 1. VR 1, I keep messing them up. Same thing of how I feel with VR 2. Like, it was just a combination of games as a compilation in both VR games. At least that's how I've always viewed it. I didn't view it as, that's actually an important thing to the lore. That's just, here's a compilation of mini games and iconic games from both iterations of VR 1 and VR 2. Let's just have some fun in VR and take someone that was formerly interesting, formerly scary, and jack it up to VR.
This on its own isn't a huge issue. After all, this could just mean that these games take place over a stretch of time. But the other major issue here is that we're not always at the Pizzaplex. For one, Carousel and Fazerblast are outside, in an area that's very reminiscent of Fall Fest. But most notably is the entire section of the game titled Sister Location, which takes place in the Sister Location bunker with functioning Sister Location funtime animatronics. This is a major issue, because by the end of all the endings of Sister Location, the funtime animatronics have shed their exoskeletons and swapped it for a Michael Afton themed skin suit. So if we see someone like Circus Baby moving and functional, something's up. The way I see it, and that's going on the lore board, but this isn't. There's two possible explanations for the Sister Location minigames. Again,
the whole thing about the animatronics ejecting their exoskeletons in Sister Location and then bring up Baby. Baby makes things, when it comes to that event and Sister Location, so complicated because it makes Ennard and Baby so complicated. Newsflash, chat. So Sister Location happens. You go down to the bunker of Sister Location, which is underneath the house of FNAF 4, right? You're sent down there by good old William Afton and you're playing as Michael Afton. You see this group of, new animatronics, Baby, Funtime Freddy, Funtime Foxy, Ballora, and they're all trapped down there because of reasons still kind of unknown. Still not sure why they've been locked down. I mean, we know that Baby had an incident where they were on stage for one day and then they killed a girl because they got scooped because, as you see right here, ice cream came out of, Baby's stomach catch and everything, and then a huge claw mechanism grabbed a girl who we assumed to be Elizabeth Afton, and Elizabeth Afton eventually took possession of Baby's soul, and that's why Baby's eyes went from blue to green and Sister Location and every iteration we see in Baby in the future games, right? But the whole point of the game in Sister Location, the whole reason that game exists, is because those animatronics are trying to find a way out. They are trying to find a way out of the bunker being locked down in the Sister Location bunker underneath the FNAF 4 house. They're trying to find a way out. And the way they found a way out, the plan they concocted, was we're going to take a piece of each of our animatronics, combine all of that, the pieces that we pulled together to create the animatronic that is Ennard. And then Ennard was then used to trick you to go down to the pizzeria, the bunker. It's one of the only games where in FNAF where you don't take place at the pizzeria. It's kind of weird. But you go down the bunker, you get tricked by Ennard and the other animatronics. They trick you and lure you into the scooping room. You get scooped. And then after you get scooped, Ennard and the conglomeration of the other animatronics fuse into your skin and make like a skin suit. and then walk around outside now that they're free and everything, now that they look like a human being. But obviously that doesn't really work because each day that Ennard and the animatronics are walking around your skin suit, your body's slowly decaying everything. It starts off normal at first, but then more and more of your skin starts to rot and it starts to be actual purple and everything. That's why we see in between nights of custom nights dislocation, it starts off all nice at first, but then it keeps going. Each time you beat mini games in the custom night, your skin gets more and more purple, more and more decayed because Ennard and the other gang realize this isn't going to work anymore, so they eject into the sewers, and then Baby's saying, "You won't die, you won't die, you won't die," and then Michael Afton, some miraculous reason, rises after being scooped. His eyes open, everything, and he realizes that he can't die. I know, sounds complicated. But we're not done yet. The reason I bring all that up is because after all of that happens, and Ennard and the other Fun animatronics with Baby, they're trying to find a new host, so to speak. They're trying to find a new host. They're like a symbiote from Venom, if you really think about it. They're trying to find a new host, and in between finding a new host and everything, Baby gets ejected from the Ennard suit conglomeration of the animatronics. Baby gets ejected, which then means Baby gets ejected, becomes its own animatronic, its own entity, which is Scrap Baby, which is Baby with like the huge like lobster claw, like chainsaw claw on their like, I want to say left arm. They have roller skates because why not? Why not have roller skates? So I say all that because we still don't understand the whole Baby Scrap Baby thing, because in future games like FNAF VR 1 with a minigame where you're trying to shine the flashlight in sister location and you have to find the Circus Baby and Scrap Baby animatronic plush. We see it again in FNAF 6, which is the first time we see Scrap Baby. We see it in Custom Night because they both are playable characters they can go up against. You see it in Ruin, where there's a room where there's a group of plush babies and then a plush group of Scrap Babies all together and everything, which is still unanswered to this day. So the whole thing about Cislocation, the animatronics get, ejecting Baby, and ejecting Baby turns into Scrap Baby and everything. It is still unclear to this day what Baby is and what Scrap Baby is. And that is something that we actually need answers to, right? That's something that, if I could ask Scott anything, or Steel Wool anything, because I don't know if Scott's doing stuff anymore with FNAF, right? Who knows? If I could ask them anything, that is one thing I want an answer for. What's the difference and what's the deal with Baby and Scrap Baby? Because as it stands right now, it is confusing because they seem to be using them interchangeably, which very clearly from the story we know, from the backstory we know, they are supposed to be different people.
Both speculation, not going on the lore report. But one, the monitor is actually a diegetic piece of the game. And it's not just a UI, but instead we are looking at recordings on an actual monitor of somebody else performing these tasks. This could make sense with a lot of theories about this game. After all, many people, myself included, believe that Cassie's dad is our player character in Help Wanted 2, and that he was investigating what's actually going on at this pizzaplex. If he's doing that and he finds his way down here and there's a monitor with several video recordings, of course he's going to watch them to figure out what's going on. But none of that is is confirmed. The other option would be that this monitor is non-diegetic, and we're just doing the tasks that our player did. But if that's the case, then Sister Location and likely Fall Fest have to be recreations, which, as strange as it sounds, is not impossible. In fact, it's very possible if we lean on Tales from the Pizzaplex. Use me for a brush and then leave. In Tales from the Pizzaplex, we hear about different pizzaplexes, and some of them have attractions that are based on the stories of the Fazbear franchise, just like Help Wanted, to the point that Pressure, one of the stories, features an attraction that is literally a costume roleplay, where one of the scenarios you can do is one of your friends dresses up as Springtrap and tries to chase around and kill you. Of course, it's all pretend roleplay, but that's an insane thing for Fazbear to just be promoting. Like, I understand that they're promoting it because they're like, haha, look at this made-up story. Hey, Fazbear, business tip. If somebody makes up a story about your brand, that someone dressed up in one of your characters and killed people, don't promote that as a funny story. Regardless, whether or not these...
I mean, isn't that the whole thing about, like, the whole thing about Fazbear, like, poking fun at themselves, right? Like, that's the whole plot of, you know, the most recent FNAF games, but especially, like, that's the whole point of VR Help Wanted 1, where it's like, you know, most of the stories that you were told through these games and everything, you're fed through this, rogue indie game developer are fake and everything, lawsuits pending, right? Like, we're here to have some laughs. We're here to, like, show there's no bones in our closet. And we're here to show that, Freddy Fazbear is still, like, a family-friendly entertainment space. Even though the whole point of the game, the end of the game, is you getting corrected by a glitch trap, right? But it's literally just Fazbear poking fun at themselves, and just trying to tell some spooky ghost stories. So, yeah. It's just Fazbear leaning into it hard that this is all fake. They're not actually a killer entertainment. They're all family friendly. When, well, viewers of the game, especially longtime fans, know otherwise.
Books take place in the game's universe, this attitude towards Fazbear's past definitely does. So these Sister Location minigames could literally be attractions within the Security Breach Pizzaplex at some point. After all, many of the attractions are closed down when we're playing, just like the Foxy Log Flume. This could be the same thing. The fact that these animatronics kill us in these minigames are just like the other minigames. It's not like you would actually die in this attraction, but that's what we're testing to fix. We are the guinea pig, essentially, making sure these minigames work before the general audience is allowed to play them. So, which is it? Are these Sister Location minigames recreations of Sister Location for the general audience, or recordings of somebody else going to do these tasks? Currently, I lean towards recreations. After all, it's mentioned in the Steel Wool interview that FNAF did that there are attractions at the Pizzaplex that they conceptually know but are purposefully not shown in Security Breach. But like I said, this decision is much too speculative for the purposes of the Lork board. So we'll mention the predicament, but not the answer I've suggested. So now that we covered like what the gameplay is, what changes in the game as we play? Like what's the plot line? After about 15 minigames, you're given the Faz Wrench by Mystic Hippo, who remarks that this key is familiar to you. We then use the Faz Wrench on the terminal in the corner, which unlocks a room holding a shut-down Princess Quest 4 machine and an inhibitor from Ruin. Turning off that inhibitor, we find that we've been wearing a Vanny mask.
This is what we said earlier about the entire time we boot up the game, it's actually an illusion. And then we turn the machine off, which allows us to take the mask off and see that we're actually in a burned down pizzeria. It's not as happy as it was once presented, which is crazy.
This whole time. It should be noted and pinned that both the Vanny Mask and the Faz Wrench are told to us in Ruin to be things that Faz technicians use, which likely means if we were working at the Pizzaplex, that was our job. This also tracks with several of the tasks that we complete in this game, like repairing Freddy, training the endoskeletons, and practicing on Helpy. Taking the Vanny Mask off, we see the actual state of the pizzeria we're in, and it's bad. It's much closer to what we see in Security Breach, this rundown, burnt, hole-in-the-ground pizzeria, complete with a barely functioning Candy Cadet. As we play these minigames, we receive gifts stated by the projection of Helpy to be for us. Inside these, we unlock Phaz Force figures, or essentially Transformers but FNAF, with the promise that if we collect all 6,
Get your marketing up, Steel Wool.
they can Voltron into the Phaz Bonatron. And there's gotta be something that combining 6 of the main characters of Freddy's forms a Bonnie, but we're not gonna get into that right now. Man, when I'm sick, my register gets low. How? Hold on. Well, I'm thwarted by metaphysic puzzle, and I'm sick of grading papers that I know. I gotta get sick more often, Jesus Christ. If you beat every minigame, you get all 6. And when you collect the Phaz Bonatron, you unlock the first ending immediately. A charging pod appears on stage and Glitchtrap's hand exits it. You then immediately are surrounded by Nightmare staff bots and your vision goes. When we come to, we're looking out of the point of view of a staff bot, specifically Maskbot, handing the mask to Cassie at the beginning of Ruin. Notably, in Ruin, that's the only staff bot that looks semi-organic when looking at it through the Vanny mask. Do I think we've been stuffed into a staff bot? No, I think this is more of like a digital metaphor. The game then ends, but that's not the only ending, because as you play, Mystic Hippo will give you cryptic hints towards side objectives you can complete within these minigames. 6 in total. Well, 6 objectives, but they technically take place over 10 minigames, because one of the objectives takes place over all 5 Phazerblast minigames. Doing these side objectives will unlock 6 puppets, much like the Phaz Force figures, each one adorned with a different mask of the same characters. These characters being the main 4 Freddy's characters, the Puppet and Fredbear. However, if you collect all 6 of these puppets, Mystic Hippo will give you a digital purple coin, saying that it's time. And we know what this is for. We can use this on that Princess Quest 4 machine to play it. It's worth noting, and I'll pin it, you can only play this machine while wearing the Vanny mask. This machine only exists in an operable state within AR. It's not playable in the real world. Playing the game, the old man speaks in a very broken English, different from his first appearance in Princess Quest 2. And we should pin that because even J-Top in the FNAF interview said this was intentional. Going through a few rooms, eventually the princess meets us, and we can hit ourselves to go into the game, then grabbing the sword and continuing onward. When we get to the very bottom of this map, there are 6 graves adorned with the 6 puppets we've collected. If we light them in the correct order, we get an additional secret. You can just light them and move on.
We've reacted to the 6 gravestones in the past. Originally, I, like a lot of other people, thought that the order of the 6 graves, it was Steelwool telling us the order of when the kids die and everything. But on second glance and everything of thinking about it, like, I more and more like the other interpretation where it's not the order of them dying, it's the order of them being laid to rest, right? Like, you have the core 4 of the animatronics, them being laid to rest, you know, in FNAF 3 with the Happiest Day minigame, which you were talking about earlier. And then you have Golden Freddy being laid to rest, which was, you could make the argument in Custom Night, you could make the argument that's when he was laid to rest. And then the last one leaves the puppet. And we believe the puppet is the one soul, the one animatronic that is still kicking around and is still active to this day because of what we believe the pizza putz to be, which is a poltergeist for the puppet. That's why there's a lot of, you know, Charlotte imagery and symbolism in the pizza putz. Like, you have the Charlie door, which is the big old post-it room. You have in the arcade room, which is near El Chips. The lights above the arcade machines is like a big strip of like black and whites lights, which is very reminiscent of Black and White Stripes, which is the legs and arms of the puppet. So it's not the order of the kids dying, it's them being laid to rest. We believe the puppet is still kicking around, hence why you light their stone last, because they have not been laid to rest yet.
But in the correct order, you get this basement with a Bonnie mask that seems familiar to us. Moving towards the intended path, we find the old man again, to which we trade the Vanny mask for a glitch trap plushie, which is remarked to seem like a fair trade. For some reason, we then go in the sister location elevator and end up in a giant claw machine being played by Vanny. The claw, or moon on his string, collects the glitch trap plushie from us and gives it to Vanny, which we then see Vanny kill glitch trap in front of our eyes. This is a batshit crazy ending, but I love it, and both the music to get there and the music that plays during the credit sequence is peak. But this is an insane sequence.
Not as peak as the FNAF 6 speech with Henry, but it's up there.
The speculation that could possibly explain this is not meant for the Lork board, but we should pin that it exists. So that's the bulk of the plot line of Help Wanted 2. I recorded these out of orders and I almost forgot. This video is coming out on August 2nd. On August 5th, the Monday after this video comes out, the first video on my third channel will be released. I've teased it a couple times on this channel. I'm fully announcing it, and there'll be a link in the description to the channel because there's no videos on it yet, so it's hard to find. It is Ride Doze. This channel is, I hear some of you have a second channel you barely post to. Why not do it there? This is I wanted to compartmentalize my YouTube content, and Ride Doze is the place for slower, calmer content, longer content as well. A lot of people have said that they like to put on my videos in the background, or they like the sound of my voice and think it's nice to just listen to. So this is kind of the place for that type of content. Starting on August 5th, the first video on that channel will be posted, and it is an audiobook recording of Into the Pit, the story that the game coming out next week is based on. So if you haven't read that story, or you have and you want a refresher, there's going to be an hour-and-a-half long recording of that short story on that channel coming out Monday on the 5th. And every Monday, there will be a video coming out on that channel. What video will it be? I'm not 100% sure. There will be more audiobook recordings of the short stories. I'm planning to take main channel videos and edit out like the intro, the outro, any ad segments, and put them into themed compilations. I've already made an hour of Ruin Theories to sleep to, and that'll come out probably the week after. My wife and I are planning to do a podcast, maybe on advice, maybe on relationship advice. We're not sure yet. All of the like slower, calmer, longer content will be moving there. That being said, the Freddy Fazbear Pizza podcast is staying here. Just because it is here, I don't want to move it around. But everything that's slow, like if you like my voice's background noise, this channel is your best friend. I hope to see y'all there. Really proud of that Into the Pit audiobook recording. I'll give you a snippet right here. The corridor was long and dark. The rabbit looked at him with blank eyes and an unchanging grin, then walked farther down the hall. Oswald wasn't chasing the rabbit. He was letting the rabbit lead him, as if he were in a terrifying version of Alice in Wonderland, going down the rabbit hole. And I hope that you'll be there. All right, anyway, back to the video. But there's
shameless plug out the way.
a lot of lore still in this game. In fact, the majority of pertinent timeline lore is outside of the plot. The only pins from the overarching plot we haven't mentioned are about the player character themselves. In the rundown version of the pizzeria, we see a massive toolbox and different animatronic parts. So whoever is in here, possibly us, is repairing these animatronics. We also get some remarks about the player. Two of them are from Mystic Hippo, who says,
"Some parts remain. You must help. Why are you here? When are you? It needs you. She needs you. Do you remember? Hello? Can you hear me? Do you ever look at your hands? I mean, really look at your hands."
Look at your hands, chat.
That's a strange line and worth noting. And her, Moon, and Circus Baby all say,
"What makes you so special?"
so that has to mean something. Also, Carney tells us,
Now, you look like you got kids. Win a prize for the little one.
Also, he calls us a guy a few times. So whoever did the Fazer Blast minigame is a father, or at least looks like one. So what other lore do we discover in these side minigames? Well, sticking with Fazer Blast, it is incredibly noteworthy that Carney has the exact same build as Lefty, just differently painted, even down to the endoskeleton. Fazer Blast and Carousel seem to take place in the same Fall Fest themed areas. After all, they have the pumpkins, the hay bale, the lantern, and they both have that water tower and windmill we see in Fall Fest of '83. Also, both minigames end in a fire. Notably, in Carousel, if you go out of bounds, you can find that the fire starts in the barn. Moving on, whoever is completing these tasks is the one who puts the faceplate on Roxy. She's shattered, and as we try to make her feel better, she eventually gives up and demands we put that faceplate on her, showing that it's not a design inconsistency, but an important piece of lore. We also see that the Glamrock endoskeletons are trained, not programmed. This is incredibly strong evidence that all of the Glamrocks are built off of the Mimic 1 program. But we'll save the speculation for later, but that's the speculation I'm going to make about this point. In the first aid station, FNAF noticed this chip in Helpy's brain. It's the exact same chip that we take out of Circus Baby at the end of Sister Location, the one that she says is her. It's also notable that one of the pictures in the background shows Helpy escaping a fire. In Fizzy Faz, we see that the Nightmare staff bots are actually possibly not physical, or at least the regular staff bots are not physical. One of them isn't physical, because we see one instantly transform in front of our eyes. So this is a hallucination, possibly an effect from the occipital nerve chip that gets implanted when you put on the Vanny mask. Now I hear you. We only have confirmation that Cassie has this chip. Our character uses the Vanny mask and likely got the chip as well, and if GGY is to be believed, it would make sense if Gregory also got that chip, which...
Gregory is a robot! So many people hate that theory so much. But the more and more we read up on Gregory, see more of Gregory and everything, especially the GGY book and everything, it's more and more plausible that that actually is a solution. So maybe people who hated the theory when Security Breach first came out, that Gregory's a robot, maybe we need to revisit nowadays with the current context, because... you know, robot people, robot kids, occipital nerves, like we just mentioned, you know, they all exist, right? Robot kids are not the question.
Does mean that we really...
especially since robot kids have been a thing before Security Breach released. Like, robot kids have been a thing since the original trilogy of games.
We can't trust anything we've seen in these games, which is annoying. Also in Fizzy Faz, there's this picture. I have no idea what it means, but it's noteworthy that it seems to be a parent and a child, and either Fredbear and Springbond.
Let's see, you got Vanessa in the bunny mask, obviously. You got, in the blue, looks like, I would assume, Fredbear? Or at least some golden figure with the hat. Some tall figure and some short figure. Let's see. I mean, this can very easily be interpreted as the tall one is Vanessa, the security guard, and that's why you also have the drawing of the bunny animatronic for Vanny, and then the other one, the smaller person, is maybe Gregory, because they're a lot smaller than Vanessa, who would be an adult. And that's why you have a drawing of, you know, Golden Freddy Fredbear, because Gregory wears a striped shirt, which is what the Crying Child in FNAF 4 was wearing. And if it's to be believed that that kid goes on to possess at least half of Golden Freddy, it links Gregory to FNAF 4 Crying Child, who may or may not be named Evan, to Golden Freddy. Maybe. I mean, I probably have to think about it again, but just looking at this for the first time, because I've never seen this before, just look at this for the first time, that is my opening thought.
Or Glamrock Freddy and Vanny, or maybe Glitchtrap's suit. It's a very interesting rabbit and bear design, so it's worth noting. Moving on, and because we aren't sure what exactly these minigames are, someone was practicing repairing animatronics in the FNAF 6 office that Michael Afton used. Someone went to Sister Location and interacted with those animatronics, whether or not this is real, and someone rode a rideable version of the Foxy log flume. Finally, every prize you collect in these minigames comes out of a prize machine where the background is a poster of Fall Fest with the Freddy and Friends designs of the FNAF main cast, which not only again ties us to Fall Fest, but gives us some more information on the timeline of when Fall Fest could have been occurring. Oh yeah, the prizes. They have lore too. One of the most lore-filled prizes is the other Fall Fest poster. Not only is it another look and doubling down on its importance, but it features a date prominently on it, 1970. So using this and Help Wanted, we can maybe estimate that Fall Fest happened from at least 1970 to at least 1983, or at least it happened twice. It's also worth noting that several FNAF 6 attractions are at this location, including the Fruit Punch Clowns, Trash in the Gang, Pig Patch, even a barely functional Candy Cadet. In both the Fast Force figures and the puppets, it's notable that the group is the Missing Child Incident victims and Charlotte. Like, both times it's the main five and the puppet. And this is a very loose point, but I think it's deserving to be brought up. All of the Fall Fest minigame attractions are surrounding Mystic Hippo, right? We have Phaser Blast and the Carousel as posters. We have the Carousel, like, actual toy, and all of this is around Mystic Hippo, which Mystic Hippo is kind of a play on the classic Zoltar machine, which fits really well into a Fall Fest type circus, which I think means that Mystic Hippo might be from Fall Fest, but I won't put that on the look board. We'll just mention the placement. This kind of feels like this is the Fall Fest section of the room. And that's everything. The lork board is officially one game away from being done until literally Thursday when Into the Pit comes out. But still, we are so close to being done. Did I miss?
Okay, that's the ending. So, yeah, as you can see, there's a lot, and I mean a lot, of teasers for Fall Fest by Steel Wool, right? Because we've known, like, for the longest time, like, they want to make, like, either a Fredbear game or a Fall Fest game that goes back in time even before, you know, the original trilogy games and everything, like something from, like, the 60s or 70s, like, before the animatronics even got possessed. Like, we knew they want to go and make a game, like, way back in time. Like, we knew that since, like, they were talking about making Security Breach. That was also on the table and everything. And the more and more Fall Fest content we got, especially in VR Help 1 and 2, that made it even more clear, like, yeah, that is clearly Steel Wool's intention. They want a Fall Fest game that takes place way before everything. There's theories out like, yeah, Mystic Hippo was from Fall Fest. There's theories that the Jester Sun and Moon is also from Fall Fest. There's other theories that, like, the main arenas and stuff like that, they also may be from Fall Fest. Like, a ton of things from Fall Fest and fit together. So it's only been talked about in the works for years. And the latest trailer we got, it was very, very short during the 10th year anniversary. If you've seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I feel like there's no point in me showing it on stream and everything because it's so quick and everything. And it's not even a trailer. It's a scene where it starts off in a dark room and it's playing, like, the puppet music from, like, FNAF 2 and all those other games. But it really started in FNAF 2. It shows like, music bots that would normally show up and, you know, like a Pop Goes game, stuff like that, where you rotate the wheel and, like, something pops out and, like, scares you as a kid and everything, which, no comment. But instead of that pumping out at you, it's like a weird robotic version of the puppet. It has, like, yellow eyes, and stuff like that. It's very, very weird. It's a very, very futuristic version of the puppet come out of a box, and the trailer ends and it just says like FNAF, the truth about the mimic, or the truth. I think it's truth about the mimic, and it's supposed to come out in 2025. No month, no day, just someday in 2025. It could be January 1st, 2025, or it could be December 31st, 2025. At some point in 2025, a game about Fall Fest, Return of the Mimic, is coming to us. Right? And that's the Fall Fest game. That's a game that Steel Wool's been teasing about for years. So that should be very, very interesting. I'm sure we'll have future streams about that game in particular. Once we get screenshots and actual trailer to react to, we'll be going frame by frame, of course. But for right now, that's all we got. But we at least know that's a Fall Fest game, and it's coming out next year. As far as when, that's going to be answered at a later day. So hope you guys enjoyed this stream as part of the 10-year anniversary. Maybe we do future streams and we do our own playthrough of Into the Pit. Possibly. I feel like that's a possibility. It's just, the thing about it is my luck when it comes to streaming FNAF games isn't the best. Like, that's why I prefer to stream on console when it comes to like FNAF games like Security Breach and everything, and Ruin. I prefer to do that because a lot of the FNAF games are full screen. They're not windowed. So when it comes to that, it makes streaming the game like in OBS, which is what I'm doing right now. It makes streaming, especially in this, setup and everything that I, courageously built together and everything. It makes having a stream of a full screen game in this little box window that I put together and everything, it makes it not easy. I feel like it's the easiest word to put. But you know what? Maybe potentially one day. Won't spoil anything, won't promise anything, but you know what? If it happens and it's a sign that we need to stream Into the Pit, then you know what? It'll be coming to your screens at some point. So potentially we will be streaming Into the Pit. But hope you guys enjoy. I will see you guys next time for some more FNAF content.